Hello everyone and welcome back to Affinity for Commander. My name is Alex and today we're asking the big question of, can Naya Elves work? Well, yes it can actually. But just before that, as always, remember if you want to purchase any of the cards I'm going to be talking about here or even the full deck list itself, then be sure to check out our lovely affiliate links in the description box below. They won't cost you anything extra, but really help the channel out quite a lot. And as always, all prices you see here today will be provided by the fabulous cardmarket.com, and you can find our deck list over on TCG Home. Now, onto our wolf in elves clothing. Voja Jaws the Conclave is a 5/5 legendary wolf for 2 generic, 1 green, 1 red and 1 white mana. They have Vigilance, Trample and Ward 3 for, some reason. And read, whenever Voja Jaws the Conclave attacks, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of elves you control. And draw a card for each wolf you control. Now, this is a commander that I just read more and more and loved with each time I read it. It essentially buffs your entire board by simply just doing what elf decks do, i.e. laying your hand on the table by at least turn 3. The deck can also draw additional cards with that second line of text with some wolf or changeling support, and then also offers you the additional advantage of a commander damage win con in elves that has trample and ward 3, so it's even harder to just plain get rid of. Yeah, Voja is actually really insane. So yes, we're primarily going to be making an elf deck with the additional bonus cost being there for protection, removal, and some big hitty win cons. So let's get started with the 1-drops and continue as we mean to go on. With a whole lot of elves. Boreal Druid, Elvish Mystic, Llanowar Elves and Fëanor Elves for conventional ramping needs. And then Heritage Druid, who does technically ramp us but requires cards out first, so they're not great turn 1. Reese the Redeemed, who can then use all this mana to start pumping out tokens or to advance our board state on our opponent's end step. Hardened Scales and more counters when Voja triggers, and Veil of Summer to protect any important elves or our all-important good papa. Now, moving up to the 2-drops, we have, you've guessed it, more elves. Bloom Tender, as with our commander out, this little elf is tapping for 3 mana. Gaia Sage to take advantage of the counters Voja will be dishing out, plus her evolved mechanic just gets better the longer the game goes on. Leaf Crown Visionary as both a lord and fantastic draw effect. Remember, the issue with elves isn't the mana, it's the ability to draw cards to keep doing stuff with that mana. And lastly for creatures, the evergreen Priest of Titania, who will be tapping for hopefully an absurd amount to fuel our Visionary's ability. We also have a little bit of non-creature ramp in Arcane Sig to fix our colours, and Nature's Law plus Farseek to grab us that Jetmir's Garden, or maybe even any of the new Surveil lands to find our Naya patterning. We can then get into one of the best things that Voja brings to elves, the colour white, and also a bit of red. Boros Charm and They Shall Know No Fear are both great ways to save our board from any mass destroy effects, with the additional option of being able to grant Voja Double Strike for some massive amounts of damage should it be called for, or a nice little buff to our creatures during combat. Now yes, I know Heroic Intervention also does this, but it doesn't really help prove my point about the Naya colour pattern being important, so meh. Now on to the 3-drops, and we've actually got some wolves, and also a kind of wolf. Cemetery Prowler isn't just here for Voja's draw trigger, but also for Graveyard Hate on ETB and attack, plus that last line of text. Even without attacking ever with his little pupper, is making all of our elves cost 1 less to cast provided we exile a creature, which is quite frankly an insane ability. The only other wolves, we've got our Realm Walker, who we 100% choose elves for, and then play straight from the top of our library. And Mirror Entity, who can buff our low power ramping boys right up to the heights of being genuine threats. Plus, since both these are changelings, they will trigger for both parts of Voja's ability, adding more counters and drawing more cards. But back on the elf train. Our commander is still expensive, so still need mana in Circle of Dreams Druid, Elvish Archdruid, Elvish Harbinger, who is also a fantastic elf tutor on ETB by the way, Gwenin, Eyes of Gaia, and Marwyn the Nurturer. With all these we are going to be drowning in mana, plus with Wood Elves and Farhaven Elf grabbing us lands, putting Voja into play on turn 4 and starting to get those nasty triggers on turn 5 should not be a problem. And I just really want to stress how insane it is to be able to get them out on turn 4 and start hitting with him on turn 5, because again, that Ward 3 means that even a Path or Swords of Plowshares essentially costs 4 mana to get rid of them, which are people really going to take their turn 4 off to kill our commander? Probably not, no. But lest you be thinking we've got the elves just for their mana, we've also got some lords so they can hit in for damage themselves. Elvish Champion, who once paired with Yavimaya just simply reads +1/+1 and unblockable. Azuri Renegade Leader is a great sync for all that mana to buff our small pointy-eared army. Imperious Perfect for an Anthem effect and token generation just in case we need more elves. Arwen, Weaver of Hope, works really well with Voja's counter ability as well, giving more counters to our elves as she herself gets bigger off of Voja's triggers. And finally, a weird one to say the least, Werefox Bodyguard, who is 100% an elf and functions essentially as a flash Oblivion Ring style effect. Plus, in an effort to increase our consistency, Fierce Empath to go and grab our heavy hitters. Rocco Cabaretti Caterer can grab any creature we want, like, the champion because we've just played our Yavimaya. Moonblessed Cleric can grab us any enchantments to either ramp us with Glowing Rites of Itlmoc, grant haste or counters with Rhythm of the Wild, or to go grab one of our few really powerful enchantments that we'll be talking about later on. Or even just Tribute to the World Tree for card draw or more counters, or one of my personal favourite cards, Shield of the Oversoul. With this card equipped to Voja, we essentially have a commander that has Vigilance, Trample, Ward 3, Flying, and Indestructible, which now, well, it does start to feel like we're playing a bit of a Voltron game here, and I'm okay with that. The last two cards to mention are some protection in Deflecting Swat to move that goal for the throat right back around to someone else's commander, after they've paid the ward cost of course. As well as Inspiring Call, not only granting our creatures with counters on them indestructible, but also hopefully just drawing us essentially one card for each creature we control, provided we've had one attack with our commander. Whew. Well, that is certainly a lot of cards in the 3-drop slot. In fact, it's the majority of the deck in fact. But now we're looking up to the 4-drops and also our one solitary 5-drop card. Our last few elves come struggling in as Beast Whisperer is still one of the most solid card draw engines out there for any creature-based deck. Oracle of Muldial lets us drop lands twice as quick and even go through our library for them. And Yiva, Nature's Herald, might seem like a bit of a weird choice in a 3-color deck, but considering all but 2 of our creatures are green, there really isn't any issue with running her here. Our last creature here is Shalaya and Halar, who, with Voja throwing around counters like they're going out of style, is going to be dishing out so much damage to our opponents, we probably don't even need to attack with our elves. This effect is also seen with our solitary 5-drop of All Will Be One. Now yes, this card does combo with cards like the Red Terror or Heliod Suncrowned, just immediately murder the table with damage. These are, however, not elves. But you can feel free to run them in yours after all. I'm not going to deck police you, I'm not a cop. But just in case the counters, the damage, the massive wolf don't get us there, we need some other win cons. Akroma's Will gives a slew of keywords, and with Voja out, being able to get both bullet points is insane. With the board out, this is just 4 mana win the game as far as I'm concerned. Similarly, Crown of Skenfar is a great thing to throw onto now our essentially Voltron commander. They already have Trample, so a straight power buff that is recurable. Just, oh yes, absolutely. And the last card I want to mention before going into the big drops is a new one in Galadriel Ambush. A fog, a combat trick, an instant board producer, all for 4 mana. Just imagine someone swinging at you and just going, no, then making 6 elves, who can then block and kill something with impunity because non-elves can't deal damage. Now onto the very tippity top of our curve, we have Aragorn and Arwen Wed, who do a similar effect to Voja on ETB and attack, but rather than dishing out a huge number of counters, it's just 1 per, and we also gain life when they do so. Rishkar's expertise is here to hopefully draw us an entirely new hand and be able to play anything that's 5 or less from those cards we've just drawn. And lastly, Woodland Belwa and Crater Hoof Behemoth. Okay, fine, they're not elves. You got me. But a tutor that can go and grab the champion is just too good to pass up. Plus, if people have actually paid the ward cost a number of times and Voja is now uncastable even with our slew of mana, we still need some way to win the game, and you can't argue that Crater Hoof is not one of the most efficient ways to do that. Is he predictable? Yes. Is he still really, really good? Also yes. Look, when they make an elf version of Crater Hoof, I will swap this guy straight out. Until that happens, they're staying in. And with the non-land cards now officially boxed off, let's go on to the land cards of the deck. Beyond the fixing that I would highly recommend to make sure that you have all your colors to be able to cast Voja, but obviously your deck should primarily be fixated on green. Which if you like some recommendations of how to make that, check out my video going over how to build a mana base that we produced earlier. Should really help out for this. But beyond this level of fixing, the utility of Gavany Township and Kessig Wolfrun can never be overstated. Counters all around and then buffing up Voja, or even just bluffing that we're going to buff them, is always great. Yavimaya Cradle of Growth we've talked about before being amazing with our champion to grant essentially unblockable, but to grant true unblockable, then we need to look at Rogue's Passage. Nothing says death like an unblockable buffed up big wolf bearing right down on you. Overall, as I said, I think Voja literally solves every problem all elf decks ever had. Our board is too tiny to actually hit in for any damage. Okay, +1/+1 counters for the entire team equal to the number of elves we have then. I've already dropped my hand and I can't seem to be drawing any more cards to keep the engine going. Okay, draw at least 1 extra card a turn, maybe 2 or 3 with some changelings or wolves out then. Have a limited number of win cons being either Crater Hoof or some ram through nonsense. Okay, here is legitimate commander damage win con that is genuinely terrifying with a slew of keywords and protection on them. Voja is a beautifully designed card with way too many keywords on him, and being a 5/5 for 5. This is just an insane legendary creature. Honestly, they are insane. I would not be surprised if they make it into my top 5 list for 2024, and it's only January. And that will be the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. What commands are you looking forward to from the Murders set? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one of them. As always, this video and all Affinity for Commander content are made possible thanks to the support of our amazing patrons. You guys are truly awesome. If you too like to become a patron of the channel yourself and get access to exclusive EDH related rewards, then be sure to check out our link in the description box. You can also support the channel in a number of other quick and easy ways, liking this video, subscribing, commenting, or sharing it on your preferred social media platform. But that'll be it from us for now though, guys. As always, I've been Alex, and I'll see you next time.